and it convinced me that I had made a very grave error, a massive mistake as a result of having let my wife shoot with another man. Myself personally, having been, a couple weeks removed from the actual incident happening, I don't really feel like I made a mistake. I was a little bit jealous at first. It's kind of a weird feeling knowing that your woman was in the arms of another man, even if it was only for a few hours. But it's interesting. You don't seem like you have as much of a real moral issue with the act itself.
Well, I can give you my opinion on why I wouldn't ever do it. And I think the reason I wouldn't ever do it is because I believe that a man and a woman have a connection between them. And I think that connection is solidified by sexual exclusivity from the female's part. And I believe there's an energy cord between. And I think that once that's broken with another man, I do believe there's a degree of the connection which is damaged. And I think that when the relationship is good, perhaps you will not feel it. But when the relationship is bad, or when arguments start to happen, or you start to get on each other's nerves, you might notice a slight difference in behavior, because I do also think that once the seal has been broken, I'll give you an example. The 4-minute mile was impossible to achieve, they believed, until one man ran the 4-minute mile, and then a bunch of people ran the 4-minute mile. So once the seal's been broken, for example, let's say your wife's sleeping with another man, the idea of sleeping with another man is not as intimidating as it was once was. And perhaps the idea of sitting through an argument or sitting through a rough patch in a relationship and continuing to try to work it out, as opposed to just jumping on a new man, it might be less appealing than it once was previously. So I believe, personally, if my woman had already slept with another man, she's more likely to just give up on the relationship and sleep with another man again in a rough patch. That's my personal view.
Facts, chat. No.
Say again?
Why would I mean, I've never cheated on you, even in the lowest terms of cheating, responding to a DM from somebody or anything. I've never done any of that. Everything in our relationship has been out in the open. All my messages with the person that I worked with, I was like, hey, just so you know, these are the messages. And Adam has about 200 women in front of me, and he cheated on me. So Adam, that's terrible.
So I do want to extend an invite that if you were ever interested in doing your first ever scene, that me and Lena, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like,
dude,
would he be a suitable candidate? Can I tap him in?
I don't know. No.
There's absolutely 0% chance of that happening. And it's not because Elena is particularly unattractive. It's because she's married to Adam, and I have no interest in degenerate, pointless sex, and I have no interest in making a spectacle of myself, or even just involving myself in anything which I deem to be overall haram and pointless. It's just not something I'd be interested in. There's not a single amount of money on the planet you could pay me to undertake. So I find this very uncomfortable to talk about. There's not many things I find uncomfortable, but I just find this uncomfortable to talk about. And the reason is not because, I'm an adult. I know what sex is. Of course, I've lived a very varied life. I just feel like, I don't know. We have so many people watching us, and we're just talking about. I think this is below us. I don't know. We're all pretty intelligent people. We talk about the Matrix and how they're trying to dumb us all down and trying to control all of our minds. And this base instinct talk, I find it very uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable being on this stream. If I was sitting with a woman next to me, the last thing I would talk about is our personal life. I just don't think it's the smart thing to do. And I don't think that it is. I don't have any interest in the personal sex life of any married couple, and I don't want to hear about it, and I don't want to talk about it. And I just find it very uncomfortable. I'm extremely uncomfortable in this situation. That's the truth. And I'm not saying that from a position of weakness. I'm saying it from a position of strength. I don't like talking about these things. I don't like talking about women getting. I don't like talking about what I do with women. I don't like talking about any of it. I think that what I do in the bedroom with a woman who I care about should be to a degree sacred. And I think it should be completely private. Absolutely. And I don't want to hear about anyone else. I want to make something clear to the I don't watch. I've never bought an OnlyFans. I've never paid for sex. My relationship with sex involves love, and I don't think it should happen outside of love. And I think that's the way that sex should operate. And I think that when you decide, and once again, I could be wrong, when you decide to keep sex exclusively for love, there's something beautiful and special about it. And if you decide not to do that, then you keep chasing a new high. And you can have threesomes and a bunch of girls, and I'm not saying I haven't done it, but eventually you're constantly just chasing a new high, and you end up just doing something weird. Whereas if you just say, I only have sex with girls I love, then it's always special, and it's always pretty sacred. And you get to just enjoy it that way. And beautiful children are birthed, and life goes on.
it was a money decision. It was like, oh, this is going to be a big move for my career and for our family. We're going to be able to retire off of this money. So that was the reason for it.
I'm not saying you're sitting here trying to say I'm a saint. I'm not trying to talk from a position of authority, but I have maybe it's my fight career, which Cerrone doesn't respect, or maybe it's something else, but I think that you can achieve a lot of happiness in life through actually reducing your exposure to certain things. I'll give you an example. I'm not particularly a foodie, but I will only eat once a day. Sometimes I don't eat for 2 or 3 days at a time, and that's the reason I love a steak. So right now I have unlimited sexual options because I am the top G and I'm the most famous man on the planet, and thousands of women a week are constantly trying to throw themselves at me. And the reason I reject them all is because I don't think I would enjoy sex as a whole if I slept with all these women. The reason I enjoy sex is because I say no to everybody and say no to everything. And by reducing my exposure to something, that's how I still find it interesting, and that's how I still enjoy it. So I know what you're saying. I'm just talking from my personal experience. I try very hard to not give in to any temptations and try to avoid them. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect person, but by doing that, I find satisfaction in the world. I hope it works out fantastically for you. And I hope you stay together forever and you raise your children, because that's a beautiful thing. And that's what the world needs more of. So I wish you the absolute best. I think a lot of people expected us to argue, and I don't feel that way about you or your decisions, and you seem like very nice people. So I wish you the absolute best. And Lena, I hope you had fun, and I hope you enjoy your marriage. I don't know what else people